Do you know the story of the Kung Fu master who tried to humiliate a retired Manny Pacquiao and instantly regretted it? Perhaps this name rings a bell. Pacquiao isn't just a legendary world boxing champion, but also the Philippines' any opponent. The news that Manny was it. But what truly piqued everyone's interest was the identity of his opponent for the occasion. In December 2022, a true Kung Fu master from the internet got the chance to experience the same nightmare that so many fighters had before him, and he seemed happy to make his way to the so-called Pavilion of Death. Welcome. In today's video, I'll tell you this fable where reality surpasses fiction from start to finish. Stick around until the end. You won't want to miss a single detail. The Context DKU is a self-proclaimed martial arts master whose lessons went viral on YouTube thanks to his dramatic and sensationalist air punch demonstrations. After all, it seems no one can theatrically defeat invisible enemies quite like him. However, when faced with a real opponent, DKU learned the hard way that theory often doesn't prepare you for real-world practice. Over time, the growing demands of his online community to see him fight a real fighter reached exponential levels. And DKU, like any good performer, knew he had to give his audience what they were asking for. However, to prove just how good he was in the honorable fighting ring, he made the worst decision possible, choosing a legend as his opponent, the one and only Manny Pacquiao, a man who needs no introduction but deserves one anyway. World champion in 8 divisions, politician, philanthropist, and a legend in every sense of the word, in bold and capital letters. Even so, by 2022, Pacman was no longer the unstoppable force of his prime. DKU wanted to make firewood from a fallen tree by easily defeating someone who was once not just an elite fighter, but someone who dominated the elites. Where did this idea come from? At 43 years old, Pacquiao had suffered a tough loss against a boxer who, relatively speaking, wasn't a real threat in the ring: Cuban fighter Yordenis Ugas.
Pacquiao's giving the judges right now. There's a good right hand, but look, this is...
Are you incurring on the other fighter? Those shots are landing from Ugas. For 7, scheduled for 12. Ugas able to move Pacquiao back just a bit. Pacquiao fires back, tries to get close.
So, I feel like it's getting later in this.
And Manny Pacquiao once again being put to the test. Stop. That's what you have. That's what happens when you fight.
They know what's at stake.
This sounded the alarm for all the cowards who like to rack up dubious medals of honor by defeating opponents at their most vulnerable moments. Starting your professional career with a win against Manny Pacquiao was, to say the least, an exciting idea. After the loss, Manny shifted his focus to his political career. He wasn't unaware of the exhibition matches that were popping up between retired legends and content creators. While these events were undeniably lucrative, at first, he didn't seem too eager to participate. Why did he agree? A purpose greater than himself. Pacquiao saw this exhibition as not only an opportunity to return to doing what he loved, but also as a chance to donate the earnings to charity. With the deal sealed, all that remained was for both fighters to be ready when the moment came. On December 11th, DKU stepped into the ring with confidence, like a child blissfully unaware he would receive coal on Christmas Eve. The fight was set for 6 rounds of 2 minutes each, where DKU hoped his analysis and strategies for Pacquiao's well-known fighting style would align with destiny to secure his first professional and real victory. Thousands of spectators gathered in the arena to see if the supposed new Bruce Lee could hold his ground. If DKU wanted a spectacle for his audience, Pacquiao was ready to deliver. When the opening bell rang, it seemed as if neither fighter had heard it. The first 2 minutes of the much-anticipated match were so uneventful that many in attendance used the time to grab some coffee to stay awake for the rest of the fight. On one hand, DKU seemed too scared to use any of the theatrical combinations he showcased in his videos.
By that, he means focus on keeping...
Remarkable. 8th Division World Champion Manny goes right after...
Regardless of the size advantage from DK.
Manny attacks the body of DK.
On the other hand, Pacquiao was carefully studying his opponent, waiting for the perfect opportunity to unleash his signature, brutal combinations once again. By the second round, Pacquiao had gathered all the information he needed about his reserved adversary. He then threw a straight left to the head, which likely made DKU question, in a matter of seconds, whether stepping out from the safety of his screens was the best choice.
Straight left, that miss. Good movement by DKU.
Ooh,
there
good punch by
he landed. 44 on December 17th. Arizona in our second frame.
The Korean fighter, who tried to hide behind an ineffective jab throughout the third round, was clinging to Pacquiao by the end, purely out of survival instinct, like a tick desperate to hold on.
There's a left there by you. We'll see if Manny decides to tag him and he grips the body. The return of the great Manny Pacquiao against DKU.
Just goes blinding fast to the head. Like
In the fourth round, DKU realized that 6 rounds of 2 minutes each could feel like an eternity once you stepped into the ring. Hoping to buy some time, the Kung Fu Master began sticking closer and closer to Pacquiao, aiming to reduce the opportunities for the Filipino legend to throw combinations. However, all he managed to do was experience firsthand the iconic phrase, "saved by the bell."
Boxing technique and having to stick to that, it's exhausting.
Look at that.
and being in shape. It's a total different thing.
Yes.
Manny and DKU trying to prolongate some time, and that is, and down goes DKU.
DKU, knowing there were less than 5 minutes left in the fight and thinking it wouldn't be enough time to sustain serious damage, decided to abandon his fearful stance and adopt a more energetic approach. Within seconds, Pacquiao proved to him, once again, how poor his decision-making truly was. Cornered against the ropes, DKU was forced to endure a brutal flurry of punches so devastating that the referee had to stop the match temporarily for his safety. After all, in the martial arts master's mind, there was no need for such levels of violence in an exhibition match.
Followed by a straight left. It's moments away from possibly being hammered with that left. There's a right. Stop Manny Pacquiao hammered away upon DKU.
Meanwhile, Pacquiao was simply having some fun. From that point on, the only thing keeping DKU on his feet was the illusion of surviving to the final round.
There's a right followed by a left.
Finally, the bell called the fighters to the 6th and final round. By this time, DKU's brain had taken such a beating that he seemed to confuse disciplines entirely, resorting to tactics more suited to rugby in a desperate attempt to neutralize the Filipino legend. However, Pacquiao emerged unscathed from DKU's clumsy takedown attempts. As if saving the best for last, Pacman wasn't about to let him leave the ring without the full experience. He adjusted the intensity of his offense to the level necessary to safely send DKU to the canvas. A swift combination, capped off with a lethal left hook to the chin, was all it took for DKU to end up sitting on the canvas with no intention of getting back up. Leaning against the corner where he'd been pummeled in the previous round, DKU waited for the referee's 10 count to conclude.
On a couple of lefts. Manny driving DKU.
Likely already thinking about his next YouTube video. Manny, who was observing the scene closely, was instructed to go to the opposite corner, and he skipped over like a child still eager to play. After a few seconds of uncertainty, DKU agreed to continue the fight, but he showed no intention whatsoever of engaging with Manny during the remaining time. As if straight out of a cartoon, Pacman had to chase him across the ring to land his final combinations.
His technical superiority and glimpses at top. Manny Pacquiao showing times of his career.
And although DKU managed to finish the fight standing, it was clear that the honorable fighting ring was far more than he could handle. It became evident that remaining a digital warrior would be far more profitable than committing himself to be cannon fodder once again. Unlike what was seen in the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul bout, Pacquiao's performance reaffirmed his legendary status and secured him the victory. Chatrient. If you're wondering what the moral of this fable is, it might have something to do with the fact that YouTube fights aren't the same as real ones. Of course, losing to someone like Pacquiao doesn't have to be a dishonor. If you're someone who sees the glass as half full, like DKU, this experience was a win-win. But if you happen to follow his theatrical martial arts lessons online, you might want to think twice before getting yourself into a situation where pressing Ctrl+Q can't save you.